brick in the wall, keep the wind out. All nicely stacked.
This is the seed dresser.
Yep.
It's a fairly simple machine really. You've got 2 cleaners and then a batch treater. So basically it starts off, you've got a trailer that backs up to this hopper.
Yeah.
This is the intake auger.
Yeah.
So it goes through this auger, and it goes into this first cleaner. The blue bit on the top is aspiration, so that basically sucks the dust off the crop as it's going through the sieve. Yeah, and then you've got 2 sieves that it goes through. That'll take your stuff like straw, your bigger stuff out, so mainly like straw, and then it'll go through into this Sangetti, the white one, which is also aspiration, so that sucks the dust off as well. But that takes your stuff out like your smaller seeds and your stones and stuff.
Yeah.
And then it moves on to the treater. It gets dropped into the batch treater in 50 kilo batches. Spins round a barrel, and then from then on it goes into the bags then.
And then bagged up, ready for the farmers.
Yeah, you can choose between half-ton bags or ton bags.
Yeah.
And then it slides down this rolling road, and then the farmer takes it off in his load haul.
And away he goes.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Job done. You can do about 8 to 12 ton an hour, depending on you know how dirty the crop is and whatever.
As you can see, it's on a truck. It's a totally mobile unit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's quite bespoke to the farmer as well. The farmer can have as much or as little as he wants on. He can choose his treatments on the day. But yeah, it's
good piece of kit.
Yeah.
I say, you wouldn't get much change out of a fiver.
No, they cost about, well,
a lot of money.
Yeah,
leave it at that.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Luke.
All
Cheers
right, mate.
for that.
Cheers.
Thank you. A few people come this evening for the various seed trials. This is a list of various seeds.
Good evening everybody, my name's Lucy Cottingham and I work in the research department at Agrii. And this evening I'm going to talk to you about 4 different innovative new technologies that we are trialling and testing as part of a project called the Digital Technology Farms. The purpose of this project is to understand how real-time data from different technologies can help to enhance your decision making on farm when growing different crops. So we've got 4 farms as part of our network. As you can see, we've got a range of different crops that we're looking at, so some combinable crops, oilseed rape, wheat. We've also got some root crops that we're looking at for this year, so sugar beets and potatoes. And then we've also got an apple orchard down in Kent where we're trialling these technologies too. So as growers, obviously there's a lot of new and emerging technologies coming into the marketplace at the moment. So the whole purpose of this project is really to understand the benefit of a range of different technologies that can present to you for growing your crops throughout the year. So we'll start off with our first technology. So I don't know if any of you have heard of Skippy Scout by DroneAg. So basically this is an automated drone software with AI analytics built in. And what this does is if we want to go and actually scout a field, we draw a boundary around the field that we want to go and collect data on. And then we put different scouting points within the field that we want the drone to fly down to take an image of. And then each of these points in here, the drone will go to, collect the data on the image, and then the AI element will actually analyse that particular image to give us some data metrics. So what you can see here is this is the field that it's scouted, and then along the top we've got the average of the actual data that it's recorded. So we've got things like growth stage, we've got crop uniformity, green area index measurements, flowering, which has been quite useful this year for timing things like sclerotinia spray with highest petal fall. This is an image that gives you an indication of what it's actually taking when it flies down. So you can see the level of detail that you actually get from the images, which is really useful. You can obviously get a good understanding of how uniform the crop is, what growth stage it is, particularly at this time when you actually can't physically get into the crop. And then for each scouting point you can click on that, and on the dashboard you can see actual data for each of those points that is collected. So really, really useful. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just show you a demo. So As I mentioned, it's all automated. So all I'm going to do is send the drone off. It's going to go and scout 2 points in this field just so you can get an idea of what it's doing, and then it will automatically come and land here. So if we just stand back a little bit, please. So I've already put the actual scouting points in. So as you can see, I'm not actually touching it now, it's flying itself. And it knows the field boundary, and it knows that we're obviously in the field boundary. It's now dropping down just above the crop canopy and taking that first image. Once it's taken that image, it will then go off to the second point, again take that next image, and then it will come back. And within 10 minutes of it landing, it will have sent me a report to say what's going on in that on those particular points in the field. So it's very quick, very useful, quick data if you're wanting to make decisions quite rapidly. Some of the useful things that have come out of this that we've used for the past year is things like creating variable rate nitrogen plans for using the green area index measurements to create these plans. As I mentioned about the sclerotinia spray, so understanding where our flowering percentages are and timing sclerotinia sprays. Also, we can actually do a sphere shot as well of our field, so we can understand, it's basically like a 360 image of the field. We can understand how uniform the field is. It's basically like a bird's eye image of the whole field. So this is going to come and land now on its own, hopefully in the right place. A bioscout unit, so it's from an Australian company, and what this unit does is this gets fixed in the field, and then this head actually turns around with the prevailing wind, and there's a nose on the front here, and so the air goes through this nose on the front, and any disease spores that are in the air get trapped in here, and inside there's essentially a roll of sticky tape, so the spores get stuck to the sticky tape. Then there's a high-grade microscope in here, and this takes imagery of the sticky tape, and then the AI will determine what those particular disease spores are. So you get to see a dashboard where you've got your different diseases and your disease spore loadings. So this is what the inside of the unit looks like, and that's that nose I was mentioning. So the air travels through here, and this is what you would typically see on the dashboard. And then depending on how high your spore loading is for particular diseases, you'll get like a traffic light system of colours. So we can see here that we're getting a moderate infection for powdery mildew, for example. So yeah, just kind of another way to think about how we could potentially manage diseases. Could we use this sort of technology to plan our fungicide timings? If we're looking at spore loadings, do we necessarily need to think about growth stages still, but could we use this type of tech? So yeah, really interesting data. This is what the microscope typically picks up. So you can see a rust spore here. So that's what the AI is then analysing and saying this is what you've got. And another example is alternaria on this side here, a couple of alternaria spores, and then again rust on this side here. So yeah. Right, so that's that tech. So we'll move on to another piece. Anybody, any idea what this might be?
Big lollipop.
So this is a PlentySense nitrogen blade. So what this does is it measures nitrate in soil solution. So it sits in the ground up to this point here, and then it's got 3 cells along here, 10, 20 and 40 centimetres along the soil profile. So that sits in the ground, and then it's measuring crop available nitrogen in the soil. And then this telemetry head is sending a signal through the mobile phone network, and we're able to view our live data on a dashboard. So we've used these quite a lot over the last couple of years. One of the trials that we've used it in is in our Lincolnshire DTF site, and basically we were monitoring nitrogen applications, the farm standard nitrogen applications versus a technology driven strategy. So using these technologies to help us to understand how much nitrogen we should be applying to our crop. So for example, we had a crop of winter wheat. The farm typically does 2 applications of nitrogen. So we can see the red bars here is when, this is the end of February timing, and then 5 weeks later in April. And the farm's gone on with 110 kilos at both timings. This is in winter wheat. And these are our 3 lines, as I mentioned, the 3 depths. So 10 centimetres is the green line, 20 is the yellow line, and 40 centimetres is the blue line. And we can see at that end of February timing, that nitrogen concentration has spiked at the 40 centimetres. So he's put his high loading of nitrogen on, liquid nitrogen, it's gone straight through the soil profile. As you remember, last year we had a really, really wet spring. So he's just lost a load of nitrogen down the soil profile and potentially out the system. So the crop can't potentially capture that because the rooting at the end of February timing is going to be fairly shallow, not well developed. And so these kinds of technologies just give an indication of what's going on below the ground. So really, really useful. He's actually changed his practices now. He's using a nitrogen inhibitor to stop that nitrogen leaching because the farm is stretched at various times of the year, so they have to do a two application approach. What we did on our side of the field, so we split the field in 2, monitoring the farm standard approach, and then what we did on our side of the field, so the technology-driven strategy, we used Skippy Scout to get green area index measurements and biomass understanding in the field. And then we went on at the end of February timing with a lower dose of nitrogen. So we went on with 53 kilos of nitrogen and followed that up with 103 kilos. And you can see that line's much more shallow. So we're not getting a real spike in concentrations further down the soil profile. So we've managed that nitrogen much better on our side. Just really, really interesting technology that's kind of coming through and challenging what we're doing, but also a really good visual way of seeing actually what's going on with our nitrogen in the soil.
Right, we're just going to go along a load of crops here. The bees love this one. Some cover crops. I don't know what that one's called. It says last and fast at the bottom. I'm just going to go for a walk along, and this will be at the end of the video. This one says Enrique. And I'll put this will be on at the end. And of course, obviously these are just cover crops. Velper, coming on to various barley, planet. Like I say, these are all seed trials.
Mostly small.
Lorette.
Small, probably cricket, golf.
Hurler. Skyway. Never knew there were so many varieties of barley. And obviously this one's Diablo. Here we're going on to some wheat now. So just go for a walk along so you can see what they are. Maluka. Probably saying these words wrong, but don't worry. Fraser. White sister. Rebellion. Oxford. Typhoon. AWS Fitzroy coming up now. Gleam. Graham, that's my mate's name. I didn't even know there's one called Bamford. I used to work for Mr. Bamford at JCB. There's Stoke. Skyscraper. Goldfinch, lovely bird. Lady oak. XTs. 5. Yeah. Crusoe, obviously named after Robinson. Skyfall, James Bond film. And there we go.
Carry on.
I hope so. The pedals and sauces.
Nothing paid for videoing.